Chapter 658, Deep Desire. The merchant responded cautiously to Camus's translation. "Sir, we don't really have any special folklore festivals. We only celebrate two festivals every year. One is the sun sacrifice in December, and the other is the New Sun Festival in June." The sun sacrifice was a recurring festival for the Eternal Blazing Sun Church, marking the day with the longest daylight of the year when the sun reached its zenith at noon. In the northern continent, it took place in mid to late June, while in the southern continent, due to the reverse seasons, it occurred in mid to late December. The New Sun Festival, originating from the believers of the southern continent's eternal blazing sun, involved celebrations during the longest night and shortest days, welcoming the return of the sun and anticipating more light and warmer weather. This celebration often coincided with the new year in many parts of the southern continent, gradually merging the two festivities. The merchant explained that the citizens of Tizimo town solely celebrated festivals connected to the eternal blazing sun, having abandoned the traditions related to death. He reflected for a moment and added, "It's been like this for a long time, since my grandfather was born." Matani, particularly Port Pylos and the gold mine city of Devizes, had been Inti's colony for nearly a century. The native population was compelled to convert generations ago, becoming followers of the eternal blazing sun. This, however, was limited to areas effectively managed by colonial institutions in the past. When Lumian arrived in Port Pylos, his first impression was, at the docks in the heart of the city, it resembled the port cities of Intis. Yet the workers' skin was darker and browner. The streets frequented by Intisians and Phainopatirians were sparsely populated and desolate. After passing Hotel Orella and exploring other areas of Port Pylos, various buildings with West Balam characteristics emerged. More pedestrians populated the streets, and the echoes of Dutanese filled the air. Lumian sought further details, indirectly confirming the merchant's words. Interrogator Camus discerned no signs of deception. "What things have left a deep impression on you since you were young that you still remember from time to time?" Lumian shifted the conversation. Recalling, the merchant replied, "Grand funerals, newly built coffins. The primitive tribe that clashes with us every year, the occasional scream at night because of them. Everyone's hardworking, calm, and well-educated. We get angry, but we don't argue on the spot or shout. We choose to find the padre, officers, and judges to determine who's right and who's wrong." Camus translated the merchant's words to Lumian, adding a few comments. "That's indeed the case. I've been to Tizimo. The people there are very docile. Even if they're treated unfairly, they rarely resist violently. The manor owners of the surrounding plantations love to hire them, reducing the cost of buying slaves. Of course, it's not that they're emotionless and won't resist. Instead, they tend to abide by order and follow the official processes to resolve problems. I guess they can be considered outstanding believers of the eternal blazing sun." The honorific name of the eternal blazing sun contained the description, embodiment of order. As a member of the Phainopater royal lineage, Camus undoubtedly believed in the Earth Mother. He knew that Louis Barry hailed from the Intis Republic and was likely a believer of the eternal blazing sun. Lumian stood up, extending his arms with a smile. "Praise the sun." "Praise the sun," the merchant hastily followed suit. Lumian settled back into his seat, contemplating for a few fleeting moments. "Have you experienced any strange dreams?" The merchant nodded, then shook his head. "Many, but they slip away from memory. Do you not encounter such dreams?" Indeed, dreams often elude the control of one's consciousness. They can reveal spiritual insights, mirror suppressed desires, or reflect events from the day. Sometimes, these elements intertwine, resulting in strange and unpredictable dreams. I, too, frequently encounter such dreams. In the past, when I battled the demon corruption, they were even more bizarre and exaggerated. Lumian sensed that the merchant's response was impeccable. If the other party could pinpoint a specific strange dream, that might raise suspicion. Either the dream was exceptionally strange and unforgettable, or the merchant was abnormal and had prepared in advance before coming. After discussing other matters, Lumian escorted the merchant out of the master bedroom. The responses of the other two Tizimans were similar to the merchants, only supplementing the details they observed at their level and sharing encounters with their own characteristics. Lumion found no traces of the Dream Festival. If the Dream Festival is genuinely linked to Tizimo, there's only one possibility. When the townsfolk fall asleep, they enter a dream world to celebrate the festival. Upon waking, they forget everything. Or there's another possibility. Two factions may be involved in Hisoka's Tizimo town prank. First, the citizens of Tizimo. Second, the primitive tribe in the nearby forest. Could the Dream Festival be a celebration for that primitive tribe? Hisoka's prank impacted the Dream Festival, leading the primitive tribe to suddenly attack Tizimo, resulting in significant casualties and concealing the traces of his advancement ritual to Desire Apostle. Lumion pondered as he walked Camus and the three Tizimans to the door. Upon returning to the master bedroom, he stood before the desk and gazed at the stone wall in front of him. His eyes flickered with anticipation and unease. His decision to stay in the southern continent and actively pursue Hisoka's inheritance was indeed to grow amid blood, fire, chaos, and conflict, securing more acting opportunities. He aimed to open the door to godhood and advance to sequence 4 as soon as possible. The reason for his impatience was, he saw a glimmer of hope in reviving his sister. The state of the Nabwardisleys on Hanth Island provided him with that glimmer of hope. This hope stemmed from the belief that a high-ranking figure of the Earth Mother Church might possess the ability to divide another person's soul. This would allow each soul fragment to grow into a relatively separate individual through rebirth. Auror's soul fragment was sealed within Lumion's body. Perhaps a high-ranking member of the Church of Earth Mother could use one or more soul fragments to resurrect Auror in a new form. Lumion wasn't certain if such a plan could be realized or if it constituted true resurrection, but it was the most plausible method he had encountered so far. He was determined to give it a try. Of course, he couldn't experiment with Auror's soul fragment directly. His plan was to deliberately create some soul fragments in future cullings and seek help from the Church of Earth Mother to see if they could be reborn, and if the person who returned was the same individual. Once all the details were confirmed, he would revive Auror. Lumion didn't believe he had the qualifications to collaborate with the Church of Earth Mother. Only by becoming a demigod and relying on the secret organization, the Tarot Club, could he gain the Church of Earth Mother's attention and fulfill the transaction conditions proposed by the other party. For this, Lumion couldn't wait to obtain godhood and advance to sequence 4. At times, Lumion wished his sister were also a blessed of celestial worthy and had inherited the ancient castle. This way, her resurrection might be more straightforward. Yes, to extract Auror's soul fragment, I must undo Mr. Fool's seal. To undo his seal, I have to wait for Termiboros to become very weak. For Termiboros to weaken, I need to continuously extract his power at a higher level. And to withstand the power of a higher level, I have to possess godhood and advance step by step. Lumion's thoughts gradually clarified, and he unprecedentedly yearned for an advancement. Trier, Quartier de la Cathédrale Commémorative, apartment 702, 9 Rue Orsay. Franca lay on the bed beneath a velvet blanket, her cheeks still flushed, eyes moist, and her expression unusually complicated. Beside her, Jenna rested under the same velvet cover. She had slipped into a deep slumber, her brows furrowed with a mix of exhaustion, satisfaction, resistance, and nostalgia. Her outstretched arms and exposed fair skin still bore traces of the recent fervor. Franca gazed at Jenna and let out a sudden sigh. The experience had exceeded her expectations, yet a sense of emptiness lingered in her heart. It was beautiful in the moment, but what would transpire after the digestion of the pleasure potion? Could physical intimacy and emotional distance coexist? Did overwhelming pleasure pave the way for sorrow? Was it the agony of sinking into oblivion while resisting salvation? Sigh, Franca released another soft sigh. She sensed that her pleasure potion had been substantially digested. Matani State, Port Pylos. Lumion, sipping a glass of Guadar, looked up and spoke to Lugano as if discussing the weather. We're heading to Tizimo town today. Will you join Ludwig and me, or will you stay here and wait for us? Let me warn you in advance. The situation in Tizimo town might be very dangerous. Very dangerous. He wanted to say he'd stay in Port Pylos, but memories of Father Montserrat flashed in his mind. Gritting his teeth, he replied, I'm with you. If danger lurked in Tizimo town, he could rely on his boss to bail him out. But here, only himself. Lumion nodded slightly and didn't say more. After checking out and hitting the street, he chuckled at Lugano and Ludwig. Do we take a coffin to Tizimo, or should we grab a carriage? Before Lugano and Ludwig could answer, a four-wheeled, four-seater carriage rolled up from under the shade. The carriage's driver, a young man, kept his head low, not daring to look away. Coming to a stop, Camus Castia emerged. He forced a smile and said to Lumion, Thanks for your help these past days. I'll escort you to Tizimo.